Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So we got the New Year's Duel Dokkan Fest, DRAGONFEST Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Rudagon. Very good releases, great releases, very powerful. I mean, maybe their teams, could be better, but like they're incredible units. I do like when Dokkan gives us LRs or Dokkan Fests that are incredibly powerful with limited restrictions. They can be used on all weak teams. They can buff like teams that need help. They can be used with most characters. Like both DRAGONFEST and Rudagon are not heavy on restrictions, which means they will be significant assets towards future teams that come out in 2024. And their designs make me think they will hold up strong as well, regardless of what 9th anniversary power creep might look like. DRAGONFEST and Rudagon are probably better positioned than most of the game right now to be able to survive a big-time power creep. So that's good. That's good. Let's just jump right in. I'm going to start and end the video by saying this is a Dokkan Fest exclusive to UR list, so we don't have Limit Breaker Vegito on here, but I will talk about him as well once we get to his spot. I mean, obviously, Limit Breaker Vegito is very good. He would not slide in near the 10 spot. Let's just say that. He would be much, much higher. So, all right, let's go ahead and start here. We have Yamcha at 10, and we can go ahead and grab character number 9 as well. And, I mean, honestly, I might as well just go ahead and grab this character also. So, this is kind of like the bottom of the list right here. These are 2022 Dokkan Fest TURs who are still on this list. This is, I mean, just maybe a sign that 2023, as Dokkan's biggest defender, even I have to take a step back and be like, Dokkan. I mean, all of these 2023 releases, the 17s, Kale, Super Trunks, who's the other one that I wanted, 17 and 18, like all these guys, Turles down here, are just not good enough to hit on here over these three. And, one reason why is that these characters, don't really have the super tough restrictions. I mean, I guess Yamcha does have, 5 or more Earthbred category allies to get his intro, but, like, that's not, like, the Earthbred fighter category is so large and so easy to do. Like, I don't really think that's so much of a problem. Gamma 1, with the way he's designed with his guard, his support, his damage reduction, his nullification as well. Like, we could easily kind of, use him in a lot of different setups, and same with Path to Power Kid Goku, right? Even though he does support a certain type of category, his other support, his damage reduction and his crit support, that goes for any ally, and he's a Rainbow Orb Changer. So that really, I think, is where we can look at the problems, the fatal flaw of a lot of the major releases that failed this year, is 17 and 18 are so built around tournament participants, which is not really that great of a team. And, I mean, they're kind of just, like, undertuned. Trunks, I mean, is undertuned, plus he's heavily reliant on Andros has Cell Saga. Like, those are some of the issues that plague those characters that don't really hamper these three. Yamcha is good, but keep in mind he is a true dodge or die character. I typically don't really care about the explosive damage he might be able to put up. I'm looking for kind of like how characters can impact the team in other ways, typically. Sometimes there's damage that's just so mind-boggling that it does kind of overwrite my thoughts on like defense versus damage and stuff like that, right? But Yamcha is good. With all of his different dodge he's got in here, he can hold up well, even against the biggest boss's attacks. Kid Goku, I mean, it does feel like he could take a lot of damage depending upon what your RNG is with orbs, right? I mean, if you're going to get 10 plus orbs with 4 rainbow key spheres, he's good. But like if the orbs aren't good, sometimes like he's at the point where he could take a lot of damage. This guy in 2022, it's like he wasn't taking damage besides the couple of biggest boss super attacks. But now it's very easy for him to take damage, even potentially from normals, from like physical fusions of monster or something like that. And then Gamma 1 would be higher on this list, but it's Gamma 1 suffers from it. What does he suffer from? Like the worst and most annoying bullshit mechanic I hate. I hate it. Get hit to tank better is the worst. I'm done with that. It is terrible. It's in a lot of the fights right now. You go out there, you trot Gamma 1 out, and he gets blown. His asshole is red and chapped from these bosses blowing it away, man. So, whatever. There we go. Those three, I do kind of feel like they're maybe a slight level below what I kind of have some of the next characters. Next, we can go ahead and grab Android 21. I guess we probably should grab the next character too, which is Gohan and Piccolo. So Android 21 to me, just based off of what I've seen of people talk about her, I think she's very underrated, right? People don't a lot of it is people just don't know how to evaluate stuff. People don't really know how to have their own opinions on these characters, other than, listening to what other people say, maybe listen to what I say, right? Like, in my experience, just from how I watch people kind of like say things, talk about things, it does seem like a lot in the community don't really talk about like what they actually think of a character. It's more so just repeating what they've heard other people say. It's kind of what happens. 21 does not struggle against AoEs. That is not correct. Because by the time you get to the other bosses that have AoEs, you're transformed. She does fine against them. But what 21 does struggle against is Fusion Zamasu, who does his AoE right away. And, that is very obviously intentional for some reason. Like, they knew what they were doing when they gave her high chance to dodge within the same turn when attacking. They knew that it was going to make her really struggle against Fusion Zamasu. So 21 is really bad for the Fusion Zamasu fight. If things go positively and you can get past the initial phase quickly or something like that, like, she could take over and she could dominate physical Fusion Zamasu in this form, right? At 21, with her healing, her defense, a lot of these abilities she has, her damage reduction, her strong active skill, like, this 21 is really good. But right now, it's much more important to be better at the start of the fight, and she obviously does get quite a bit better after she transforms on turn 5. But I think that this character is much better in base than most give her credit for, right? Because she is not like some, just bitchy character that gets just completely destroyed or something like that. She's still got the 50% chance to dodge after attacking. It's just you're obviously not going to put her in slot 1 at the start of the fight, and then Fusion Zamasu's AoE will penetrate her very early on and do ridiculous, 400k damage. Or how much does she take? Is it 300? I can't remember. It's like 300 or 400 or something like that she'll take from Fusion Zamasu, which is a lot, right? It's typically can be more than kind of is sustainable. So there's that. Now, again, I like 21 more than most people. Typically, it seems like people are more interested in, like, pushing agendas around this character rather than actually, like, talking about what she does. Very few people have I seen talk about her are actually talking about, like, how she directly does in a lot of these fights. So I think that this is a good spot for her. I think that this does kind of show her performance. I think the Fusion Zamasu fight is the most important fight, yes. But the Fusion Zamasu fight is not a fight by itself on an island with no other content being able to challenge it at all. That's not the way it is. So, 21 only struggles against Fusion Zamasu, and she dominates every other fight, in my experience. Now, Gohan and Piccolo, I think I will kind of like side with people and push them up a little bit above 21 right here. Here's the thing with Gohan and Piccolo. I really hate this, like their base form. Like kind of what... like this right here, I'm just not a fan of their kit. I think it's terrible in base. But when you get down to the revive is just too good. This is something I've been saying since I came. Like, this is what makes them so helpful. It's just the revive, these characters that could give you these quick revives. That's just like one of the strongest things you could have. Tech Carnival Goku can still be very valuable on a team that doesn't have this character or the 8th anniversary GT Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. But these early revives, they're just too good. They're just way, way, way too good. You must respect these powerful revives, man. It's just such a strong mechanic, and it really can help you, get a bunch of free damage, and then you die and revive, and it's good. This character would be so crazy if you were able to do this routinely. This character would be busted beyond belief, but they have they are like a Thanksgiving Day turkey in slot 3. Like, that support looks nice on paper, but it's tough to get. Keep in mind, they do have their huge fatal flaw, which is that this deactivates mid-turn. It's so stupid. You could have this character in slot 2. your slot 1 character takes 300k damage, pushes you below 70%, and then they're not going to have damage reduction by the time you get to them. It's so stupid the way they're designed, but their revive is just way too good, and I don't have any issue with Kid Gohan is really powerful. Thing is, once you revive and swap in a Kid Gohan, he's great. He, can do a bajillion damage his first turn with guaranteed dodge. We know how good guaranteed dodge is. But then on his turns after that, he still is a 50% chance to dodge character. Provided you have a Goku on the team, but I mean, there's a difference between this guy needing Goku on the team and 17 and 18 needing Goku on the team, right? There's a big difference. Although, to be fair, his own team sucks. I think his team is terrible. Like, their team is god-awful. But guess what? This character's on Earthbred Fighters, right? So, there you go. I like them. As time is going on, I'm liking them more and more. For sure. I think their base is very weak, but the revives are just too good. They're too good. Even Tech Carnival Goku, I feel like a lot of the community buried him too fast. Tech Carnival Goku, you run Movie Heroes, something like that. Tech Carnival Goku really helps with the revive, man. I'm just telling y'all, don't be too quick to write off revive characters. It's just very helpful having that. All right, so we could just go ahead. I have kind of like talked about these characters in batches all throughout, so let's just do that next, and we'll go ahead. Oh, did it freeze? No, there we go. Okay. We'll just go ahead and talk about the next 3 characters that we've got right here. These are our next 3. I see no reason to switch up kind of the order that I've had them in for most of the year. Feels like even after like some of these releases, they're still kind of holding up, like kind of like true in this sense right here. So 23rd World Tournament Goku is very good. He certainly could take a lot of damage. If you don't have another character to help him out with his revive, he certainly could get just like blasted. I mean, I had one of these long showcases I did recently was 23rd World Tournament Goku dying quite a bit. But like, he's good. I love his design. I don't really have an issue with like any of these 3. Like these guys I think are really good. I don't know that I need to really spend a ton of time talking about them. Like, they're kind of just in the same spot. I mean, God Goku, certainly, if you're just going to rely on the physical orbs that he creates right here, you could have issues getting the 6 orbs for him. But, I mean, again, you combo that with any Rainbow Orb Changer, which there's quite a few on this guy's setups and teams you'd run, such as Power Wishes, Movie Heroes, blah, 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 blah. It's not hard to get the Rainbow Orb change and going for God Goku, right? And just like 23-year-old Tournament Goku, well, I mean, he has to have help. By himself, he sucks. Like, he's actually just trash. He sucks. Like, on 17, this guy on 17-18 team is terrible. Like, he's just awful. Like, that's one, like, this guy's weakness on 17-18 team is one reason they're not as good as I think maybe people think, or they could be, maybe. Like, we'll see later on. But yeah, this guy with a Rainbow Orb Changer does certainly get a lot better. But one thing that a lot of people kind of just, don't talk about is that you only need 3 orbs for him to have 60% chance to dodge, which is kind of relevant. Just saying. I mean, it's not my fault you guys have your characters built full crit on God Goku, right? Maybe invest in some hidden potential system dodge, pair it up with your 60% dodge right here, and you don't get your 6 orbs, and maybe you'll be okay. I'm just saying. And then Piccolo Jr., I still see a lot of people actually downplay this guy. Does surprise me. This is one of these, things that helps me lead to a conclusion that a lot of people just, again, they're mostly pushing agendas, pushing opinions of others, not really talking about their own experiences and stuff like that. I would simply just advise you, if you don't think that this guy's very good, or you don't see how he's highly ranked or something like that, you just take him into events. Just run him out there, man. It's not tough, right? Like, we know how powerful he can be just in base. But if you get his giant transformation in, you get this active skill, like this combo of these 2 abilities back to back. This is typically like a fight-winning abilities right here, right? We know how good the giant transformations are. It's the reason Orange Piccolo, I would say right now, is still the best unit in the game. A full year after his release, absolutely, I think Orange Piccolo is the best unit in the game. And kind of one of the major reasons is transformation, and Piccolo has that as well. Obviously, Majuniors is not as easy to do, but still very good. I just don't really see a reason or a need to change kind of like, again, the status quo of what these characters have looked like for us. And then obviously the next 2 characters, I think their spots should be fairly obvious. So we have Dragon Fist Goku coming in at 2, and then I do have Hirudegarn in at 1. So Again, one thing I'm really loving about these guys is, you know, we have like almost no restrictions. This guy is heavily built around dodge, but I mean, that works well for me. Like, I like the way dodge works. It's blah, 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 blah. So I've not really had issues with Goku. He could do a decent amount of damage. I mean, he hits hard. Like, you'll see a high number, and he oftentimes can crit, but again, you do want to remember, there's a difference between, like, okay, like, he did a good attack set, he did a good attack set plus, like, a crit or super effective, or he did a good attack set, it was crit or super effective, and he's got, like, 3 more coming, right? Like, that's the thing with this Goku is, he could do a good attack set, it's, you know, he's got a high chance to crit, but he only does 1. So that does, like, hold back his damage compared to, say, you know, Piccolo Jr. or, you know, 23rd World Tournament Goku. Once he gets going, you guys know he just supers and supers and supers and supers and supers, and he's super effective against all types and stuff like that. But I do love Goku's ability to dodge and stuff like that. I don't have an issue with his condition for the Dragon Fist. Seems pretty effective to me. I like that there's 2 different conditions, one with an HP condition, HP 70% or less. I don't think is really that bad. You go into this mode. I have not really encountered issues with this mode. We can go ahead and throw out the, you know, Scouter ability. You know, it's a super attack counter that you do the Dragon Fist, which has a guaranteed crit. He gives a lot of support. The one weakness of this character is in this form in particular. In base of Goku Supers, he's very good. He's very fine defensively. You don't really need to worry about him. I mean, obviously a big boss super attack will kill him if it connects, right? But sure. But this guy is really iffy. And when he does the Dragon Fist for the rest of the turn, he has 100% dodging. But until then, you're just relying on his 70% dodge or 90% dodge if your HP's under 59%, right? So, you know, you could encounter a situation where maybe it's like slot 1, he's got to go right there. The enemy attacks 4 times and then they super, and maybe, you know, like 3 of those 4 connect or something like that, and you die. It has not happened yet, but it will. It will eventually happen. So that's kind of like the one downside to him. But, I mean, using him a lot, I think he's great. I don't really have very many negative thoughts about this guy. And it's the same thing about Hirudegarn. Hirudegarn is just ridiculous. He's got high defense, he has high attack, he has high damage, he's got the crits, he's got the additionals, he's got the dodge that I love. The problem with Hirudegarn is more so just, again, he is a Big Bad Boss's character, which means you need to run Big Bad Boss's characters. I mean, these characters are designed with the idea that you're going to have this link activated because it is the best link in the game. And, you know, Big Bad Boss's characters become prisoners of other Big Bad Boss's characters not being good enough. That is the main issue for Hirudegarn. And that typically is a problem. Most Big Bad Boss's characters are not even close to good enough, and they haven't been for quite a while. But we have gotten several that are very good this year. LR Rose, very good. Piccolo Jr., obviously very good. LR Fusion Zamasu, I would say very underrated compared to the way I see people talking about him. AGL Zamasu, pretty good. So, like, we're starting to get, like, a nice core now of, like, truly good Big Bad Bosses characters, which is intriguing. I don't like any of Hirudegarn's setups right now. We could run him on Zamasu's team, but it's a nerfed version of this guy. That probably is where Hirudegarn will be at his best. But again, it's a double 150% leader. This guy has maybe the highest potential of any character in the game right now. Like anyone, like maybe even higher potential than like Orange Piccolo. But like, you know, he's gonna need like a real team to kind of like be able to, you know, sustain like how good like he can be, and I mean a lot of times does show in a lot of these fights. So we'll see. Even though his teams are weak, it's like they're weak, but like you can clear enough consistently that like I do think it's a negative. Like if you would want to drop Hirudegarn down a little bit, I could see it, but I think his strength is just too much. I mean, I mean, again, I can't speak for you guys, but to me, he explodes off of the screen. It's very obvious, I think. But then again, I think the same thing about Piccolo Jr., and then I see a lot of people be like, why is Piccolo Jr., why are people so high on him? I don't know. I mean, have you tried using him? Have you tried seeing what he does? Have I helped? So that's what I'm thinking there. So we do this. In terms of this, I was very... I'm not sure. Like, I wanted to split it off right here. And I think you could put these three up there. I do feel like 21. There's not a huge gap here. I certainly feel like these five are definitely up there. You maybe could have had all these characters in S plus, but at Gamma 1, I mean, it's very easy for him to get cut up, man. Like he can get obliterated. I mean, 21, I guess she can too, and so can Gohan and Piccolo, but like 21 has her 50% dodge, all turns, and then Gohan and Piccolo, they have their great revive ability as well, so that's just something to keep in mind. So yeah, we'll go with this. Now, Limit Breaker Vegito. This is where we'll talk about him. People will ask, when I'm going to tweet it out, I'm going to put the video up, I'm going to talk about it. I would have Limit Breaker Vegito at 1. I would. To me, I think that Limit Breaker, what he does is too consistent with, all these crit supers, this huge damage reduction. As the game currently stands, we have had no change in enemy power level since Vegito came out. Vegito, just the way he destroys every boss, I would have him 1 on this list. I think Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegito, I would have above Hirudegarn. Now, I do think that could change, but remember, Limit Breaker Vegito and Hirudegarn, they have the same weakness, which is teams. Although I think the Heroes team is much better than many people give it credit for. The difference between me and I guess a lot of people is I was an infamous Heroes hater because they sucked. But guess what happened this year? They were good. So what am I now? I'm a Heroes lover. I'm not marrying myself to any agenda or anything. I'm just going by what happens. If they're good, I'll call it good. They're bad, I'll call it bad. It's as simple as that, right? So Heroes, I find much better than maybe some people do. That is definitely Limit Breaker Vegito's weakness, is the characters you have to run with him. But that's the same issue for Hirudegarn, right? They have the same flaw. Dragon Fist certainly does not. And same with Piccolo Jr., God Goku, 23rd World Tournament Goku, right? I mean, these are just your Earthbred fighter characters, right? So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I do feel good about this. I don't really see too many issues there. If we pull up the last one I did, minor differences. I think I would put Gohan and Piccolo right above 21. There's not that much of a difference there. I was telling people this before, I'll argue it, because I'd rather argue that versus God Goku and 23rd World Tournament Goku, but, I don't really care if people think Gohan and Piccolo are better. I was saying that. It's close. I could see it. And then, we just get this fodder, this bullshit-ass characters off this list, man. They suck. They're so terrible. Terrible designs, undertuned, really bad. Turles and 17 and 18. So, there we go. Let me know what you guys think about the top 10 TURs. Again, Limit Breaker Vegito is not a Dokkan Fest exclusive. If he was, he would be number 1 on this list. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.